Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm Mike. Let me see if it's working now. Give me just a second. It should. I have like 20 seconds delay. I need to have some feedback here, so just give me a second. Okay, it seems it's working now. Volume down. Okay. All right, so welcome everybody. This is Mike here, and today is Wednesday, August the 2nd, 2023. This is the sixth class. We've been practicing regular verbs conjugation in the simple present tense. And before we start, I would like to share a few things with you. First of all, thanks for being here with us tonight. Thank you for being here in this live class, in live streaming class. Second, remember that when we learn a language, we can learn a language in two different ways. We can learn a language by education, and we can learn a language by acquisition. When we learn, I've talked about this before. When we hi Serena, hi Jim. When we learn a language by education, that means that we take classes, we go to the school, we have a teacher, we follow we study concepts, we have a book, stuff like that. We go to a class, we participate with other students, or perhaps we have one teacher for us. But anyways, that would be when we learn by education, and we can learn by acquisition. By acquisition means pretty much the way we learn our native tongue, native language. So that means by exposure, being exposed to the language and learning by listening, trying to repeat, trying to understand images, gestures, and a lot of things. Flash flood area, hi, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenidos. So, in the videos that I've been sharing with you, I've been pretty much using the education method, because I've been teaching you concepts. I've been teaching in English. As you have noticed, the classes that I've given so far, the videos are always in English, because I know that we are learning concepts. So for me, and not just for me, for other teachers, we agree in this, that if we are learning concepts, grammar concepts, ideas, we need to fully understand those concepts, and hence that's the reason why I explain that in English. Now, I'm gonna have a lot of videos based on this education concepts and so on, but I'm going to start a lot of videos based on acquisition, videos in which I'm just going to speak in Spanish, different subjects. I'm gonna go around the city, some places, visiting some places, speaking with people in Spanish, and we're gonna have subtitles, transcriptions, stuff like that, in order for us to be able to practice both education and acquisition. I'm also working on right now we have the membership available, and one of the levels of the memberships allow members to be part of a Discord community, and there we can practice acquisition, chat, blah blah blah. So this is the idea with the channel. So this is a brand new channel, not maybe 3-4 months old, but it's growing, and I like that, and I'm trying to bring contents and resources that can be useful for everyone. And that's the reason why I wanted to explain to you why I'm focusing first on education, but a lot of videos coming with stuff based on acquisition. So looking forward to sharing those videos soon with you. Now, we've been practicing the conjugation of regular verbs. We are using a list of the 56 most used regular verbs in Spanish. Tonight, in this class, we're going to conjugate the last 13 verbs. And these videos have been conjugating the verbs in the simple present tense. Then I'm going to start another series of videos in which I'm going to take the same 56 verbs and we're going to practice conjugating in the future tense, the two past tenses that we use in Spanish, continuous tenses, perfect tenses, and so on. Just for us to have like a point of reference in which we can check, practice, study in a safe environment the conjugation of the verbs. Remember, these videos are basically for you to focus on the conjugation. Do not worry about building the sentence, understanding concepts like maybe the use of adjectives or articles, or how to use the object pronouns. Not at all. Do not worry about that. Just focus on the rules for the conjugation for the regular verbs. Remember, these videos are based on the list of the 56 most used verbs, regular verbs in Spanish. And I'm also posting videos in which I'm doing pretty much the conjugation rules in basically all of the tenses for irregular verbs. We already have ser, estar, tener, haber, and tomorrow I'm going to premiere a video in which I'm going to explain all of the conjugations for the verb hacer. Same thing, I'm going to take the most used regular verbs in Spanish and do the same. So this is basically for you to have foundations, because we need to have some foundations. So when you are feeling like talking or studying speaking in Spanish, that part is something that you don't have to worry about, because you have already practiced that. The conjugation, then we're going to study some other concepts and baby steps in order to achieve fluency, right? So, as I was telling you before, tonight we're going to practice the last 13 verbs, and we remember that we are studying the conjugation of regular verbs in Spanish, practicing with a list of the 66 most used regular verbs in Spanish. Now, let's start with the verbs for tonight. Prender. Remember that we need to use this table here. The table is very important, because based on the table, we conjugate the verbs. And remember that, let me move this a little bit here. Okay. Remember that regular verbs, well, all of the verbs in the infinitive form in Spanish end in ar, ir, right? Jugar, comer, reír. That's the ending of the verb in the infinitive form. To eat, comer. To play, jugar. To smile, sonreír, ar, ir. And for the regular verbs, what we do is that we take the root of the verb, we keep the root of the verb, and we change the ar, ir part, and we use any of those depending on the table, depending on the ending of the verb and the pronoun, the subject. And that's what we've been doing for the past 6 classes, right? Practicing, being exposed to the conjugation of these verbs, learning the rules by practicing them. So, prender, to turn on or to light. I can understand, I can translate that in both ways. To turn on or to light something. Prender. And it ends in er, so that means we're going to use the second column in the list, right? The second column, er. And I have yo prendo la luz todas las noches. I turn on the light every night. Tú prendes la chimenea para calentar la casa. Tú, you light the fireplace to warm up the house. Tú would be singular, informal, close relationships. Usted prende la chimenea para calentar la casa. Singular, formal. Ustedes prenden la chimenea para calentar la casa. Plural. Vosotros prendéis la chimenea para calentar la casa. Plural, Spain. Él prende la computadora para trabajar. He turns on the computer to work. Ella prende las velas en la fiesta de cumpleaños. She lights the candles at the birthday party. Prende las luces automáticamente. It turns the light on automatically. Nosotros prendemos. Si me están escuchando, ¿cierto? Ok, sí. Por un momento pensé que no me estaban escuchando. Nosotros prendemos la calefacción en invierno. Prendemos. We turn on the heating in winter. Ellos prenden las lámparas en la habitación. Ellos, male, they, male. They light the lamps to have light in the room. Ellos prenden las lámparas. That would be turn on. I don't know why I put light there. Unless you're setting the lamps on fire. Anyways, you get the idea, right? Ellos prenden la lámpara. Because we say we prender la lámpara, right? Unless it's... anyways. Ellas prenden las lámparas para tener luz en la habitación. Female. Now, let's move to the verb prometer. To promise. Just that translation. To promise. Yo prometo estudiar más para mejorar mis calificaciones. Yo prometo. I promise to study more to improve my grades. Tú prometes llegar a tiempo a la cita. Singular, informal, close relationships. You promise to arrive on time to the appointment. Usted promete llegar a tiempo a la cita. Singular, formal. Ustedes prometen llegar a tiempo a la cita. Plural. Vosotros prometéis llegar a tiempo a la cita. Plural, Spain. Él promete ayudar en la organización del evento. He promises to help with the event's organization. Ella promete llamar a su madre todos los días. She promises to call her mother every day. Promete ser interesante. It promises to be interesting. Nosotros prometemos cuidar el medio ambiente. We promise to take care of the environment. Ellos prometen mantener en secreto la sorpresa. They, male, they promise to keep the surprise secret. Ellas prometen mantener en secreto la sorpresa. And we move to the verb regalar. We can say regalar as to give, which would be also dar, or to give away. Yo regalo flores a mi madre en su cumpleaños. Yo regalo. I give flowers to my mother. Remember, I just posted a video. I think I did. Yeah, I posted a video teaching vocabulary related to family members. Mamá, papá, papi, mami, madre, padre, hermanos, hermanastros, sobrinos, cuñados, etc. Tú regalas ropa que ya no usas. You give away clothes you no longer wear. Singular, informal, close relationships. Usted regala ropa que ya no usa. Singular, formal. Ustedes regalan ropa que ya no usa. Plural. Vosotros regaláis ropa que ya no usáis. Plural, in Spain. Él regala chocolates a su novia. He gives chocolates to his girlfriend. Ella regala juguetes a los niños del orfanato. She gives away toys to the children at the orphanage. Regala muestras gratis de sus nuevos productos en la tienda. It gives away free samples of their new product at the store. Nosotros regalamos un reloj a nuestro padre. We give a watch to our father. Ellos regalan productos de higiene a personas sin hogar. They give away hygiene products to homeless individuals. Male. Ellas, female, ellas regalan productos de higiene a personas sin hogar. Let's move to responder. We can translate that as to answer or to respond. Yo respondo, si ven, estos terminan en er. Yo respondo todas las preguntas en clase. I answer all the questions in class. Tú respondes rápido a los mensajes. You answer messages quickly. Singular, informal, close relationships. Usted responde rápido a los mensajes. Singular, formal. Ustedes responden rápido a los mensajes. Plural. Vosotros respondéis rápido a los mensajes. Plural, Spain. Él responde las llamadas telefónicas de los clientes. He answers phone calls from customers. Ella responde a los correos electrónicos de manera oportuna. She answers emails promptly. Responde preguntas en línea. It answers questions online. Nosotros respondemos a las solicitudes de ayuda. We respond to requests for assistance. And ellos responden a las quejas de los clientes con cortesía. They respond to customer complaints courteously. Male, ellas responden a las quejas de los clientes con cortesía. Female. We move to the verb to greet, saludar. Yo saludo a mis amigos con un abrazo. I greet my friends with a hug. Tú saludas a tus compañeros con una sonrisa. You greet your classmates with a smile. Singular, informal, close relationships. Usted saluda a sus compañeros con una sonrisa. Singular, formal. Ustedes saludan a sus compañeros con una sonrisa. Plural. Vosotros saludáis a vuestros compañeros con una sonrisa. Plural, Spain. Él saluda a sus vecinos todos los días. He greets his neighbors every day. Ella saluda a sus colegas al llegar a la oficina. She greets her colleagues upon arriving at the office. Saluda a los clientes al entrar a la tienda. It greets customers when they enter the store. Nosotros saludamos a nuestros familiares en las reuniones. We greet our relatives at gatherings. Ellos saludan a los turistas con amabilidad. They greet tourists with kindness. Male. Ellas saludan a los turistas con amabilidad. Female. Let's delete this here. And we move to the verb subir. Subir can be translated as to go up, to increase, to raise, or to upload. So, yo subo las escaleras para llegar a mi apartamento. Yo subo. I go up the stairs to get to my apartment. Yo subo. Tú subes tus precios en temporada alta. Singular, informal, close relationships. You increase your prices during peak season. Usted sube sus precios en temporada alta. Singular, formal. Ustedes suben sus precios en temporada alta. Plural. Vosotros subís vuestros precios en temporada alta. Plural, Spain. Él sube los precios de los productos en la tienda. He raises the prices of the products in the store. Ella sube la montaña cada fin de semana. She goes up the mountain every weekend. Sube la temperatura de la casa. It increases the temperature in the house. Nosotros subimos nuestro backup a la nube. This is nuestro. Nuestro backup a la nube. We upload our backup to the cloud. Ellos suben el estándar en sus expectativas laborales. Male, they raise the bar in their work expectations. And female, ellas suben el estándar en sus expectativas laborales. Now, this is an interesting verb, suceder, suceder, because we use suceder in Spanish in two different ways. The first and most used way is as to happen. But there are some things that we need to keep in mind if we are using the verb suceder as to happen. Now, if we use the verb suceder as to succeed, when it means to take the place of another person or thing, meaning that, because succeed can be translated as that, I can use it, but it's not so common. It's not a very common use for this verb. We can understand, of course, and here in Colombia, it's not something common. I don't know in other countries of Latin America, but here in Colombia, it's not so common to hear somebody saying, yo sucedo a mi hermano como presidente del club. Saying, I succeed my brother as the president of the club. It's not common. But it works. And that's one of the translations of the verbs, of the translations of the verb. And if we use the verb like so, we follow the rules based on second column of the table. These examples are not quite natural, not common, but nonetheless are good examples, are sentences well built, but perhaps you're not going to listen that often in a regular conversation in Spanish, at least here in Colombia. Yo sucedo a mi hermano como presidente del club. As you can see, suceder, it's conjugated based on the rules. If it's translated as to take place, the place of another person or thing. Yo sucedo a mi hermano como presidente del club. I succeed my brother as the president of the club. Tú sucedes a tu compañero de trabajo en el puesto. You succeed your coworker in the position. Singular, informal, close relationships. Usted sucede a su compañero en el trabajo del puesto. Singular, formal. Ustedes suceden a su compañero de trabajo en el puesto. Plural. Vosotros sucedéis a vuestro compañero de trabajo en el puesto. Plural, Spain. Él sucede al director de en la dirección de la empresa. Él sucede. He succeeds the director in the management of the company. Ella sucede a su maestra como líder del equipo. She succeeds her teacher as the team leader. Sucede como líder de la manada. It succeeds as the leader of the pack. Nosotros sucedemos a la generación anterior en la responsabilidad. We succeed the previous generation in the responsibility. And ellos suceden a los antiguos líderes en el gobierno. They succeed the former leaders in the government. Male. Ellas suceden a los antiguos líderes en el gobierno. Female. So now remember, this is very interesting, and we need to keep in mind this thing. Suceder, when it's translated as to succeed, to take the place of another person or thing, in Spanish, it can be used, but it's not a very common thing. It's not usual. You don't hear this kind of sentences frequently. If so, the conjugation is based on suceder because it's a regular verb ending in er, following the rules, and this is the conjugation. These are examples of this. Now, if we translate suceder as to happen, in Spanish works a little bit differently. We can translate it as suceder, but it has be used as sucede or suceden. We use it if it was conjugated in the third person. Eso sucede, o esos suceden, sucede or suceden, different tenses. It is used in the third person and usually takes an indirect object that expresses the person to whom what is expressed by the subject that happens. Es el tipo de cosas que siempre le sucede a Juan. It's the type of things that always happen to Martin. I mean, I don't know, I wrote Martin and then I wrote Juan. I was thinking of my brother. My brother's name is Martin. Es el tipo de cosas que siempre le sucede. Now, there's another thing that I'm going to explain here. But in the meantime, let's think of suceder as to happen just in this form. ¿Qué pasa? Always in a third person. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué sucede? ¿Qué pasa? What happens? Sucedieron varios acontecimientos importantes del año pasado. Several significant events happened last year. As you can see, it's like if we were using happen with the third person. It happens. What happens? It happens. It happens to Juan. It happened last year. And in that scenario, in that context, we use suceder as, and we can translate that in English as to happen in Spanish. And that happens a lot. We use that a lot. We say, ¿qué le sucede? Oye, ¿qué te sucede? ¿Qué está sucediendo? It is. ¿Qué está sucediendo? What is happening? ¿Qué está sucediendo? And there's another thing. We can say either suceder o pasar. In Colombia, we use a lot pasar more than suceder, but we can use both. So I say, es el tipo de cosas que siempre le sucede a Juan, or I can say, es el tipo de cosas que siempre le pasa a Juan. I can say both. Here we listen more pasar than suceder. But you can use both and are natural and are frequent. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué sucede? Both are correct. ¿Qué sucede? ¿Qué pasa? What happens? Pasaron varios acontecimientos importantes. Sucedieron. Several happened. So that's one of the ways. And in English, the verb to happen can be conjugated by the subject. You know that. But like, I happen to be reading this book. I can say that. I can conjugate to happen. I happen, you happen, he happens, she happens, blah, blah, blah. Right? But in those kind of sentences, it is translated differently to Spanish. And instead of using the verb suceder, we use the verb resultar. Most likely, more than suceder. So, if I have the sentence, I happen to enjoy reading books, I can translate that as sucede que disfruto leyendo libros, but it doesn't sound natural to us. Instead of that, we say, resulta que disfruto leyendo libros. Es que disfruto leyendo libros. We can say that in Spanish. In the meantime, let's think about this type of sentences. I happen to be something, I happen to something, you happen to something, someone happens to something. Translated as resulta. Resulta que. Es que. We can say that. You happen to live near the beach. Sucede que vives cerca de la playa. Resulta que vives. Resulta que vives cerca. Es que vives cerca de la playa. Resulta que vives cerca de la playa. Right? He happens to know the answer. Resulta que sabe la respuesta. Sucede que sabe la respuesta. Resulta que sabe la respuesta. She happens to like classical music. Resulta que le gusta la música clásica. A ella. To her. She likes. Sucede que le gusta. It happens to rain a lot in this region. Resulta que llueve mucho en esta región. We happen to share the same interests. Resulta que compartimos los mismos intereses. They happen to work together at the same company. Resulta que trabajan juntos en esta misma empresa. And as you can see, we can translate that as sucede. Sucede que le gusta la música. And it can work, but it's going to sound kind of weird. At least here in Colombia. Remember, I'm from Colombia. I live in Colombia. My Spanish is from Colombia. It's pretty much kind of neutral, and it's very used. It's very understandable in all Latin Americans, even in Europe, this kind of Spanish. And that's what happens with the verb suceder. So remember, if we use suceder as to take the place of another person or thing, we can use that. This is not the kind of sentences that we use. We can understand. It's very rare that we listen or hear this kind of sentences. But nonetheless, we need to conjugate and learn how to conjugate the verb. The real use of the verb suceder in Spanish is when it's used in the third person and usually takes an indirect object and expresses the person to whom what is expressed by the subject. So it happens. Like it happens. It happens. That's what happens. What happens. So just to keep in mind. Interesting, a little bit difficult, but interesting. Now let's move to another verb. Terminar. To finish, to end, or to break up. In Colombia, we use the verb terminar when we mean about a breakup. When I'm breaking up with my significant other or relationship. Eso es terminar. So, yo termino la reunión a tiempo. Terminar, ending ar, regular verb. Yo termino la reunión a tiempo. I end the meeting on time. Tú terminas tus estudios a tiempo. You finish your studies on time. Singular, informal, close relationships. Usted termina sus estudios a tiempo. Singular, formal. Ustedes terminan sus estudios a tiempo. Plural. Vosotros termináis vuestros estudios a tiempo. Plural, Spain. Él termina con su pareja la próxima semana. He breaks up with his partner next week. Ella termina la película antes de dormir. She ends the movie before going to sleep. She ends watching the movie, pretty much. Termina antes de lo que esperamos. It ends before we expected. Nosotros terminamos la reunión a las 5 de la tarde. We finished the meeting at 5 in the afternoon. Ellos, male for they, ellos terminan la conversación amigablemente. They end the conversation amicably. That's friendly. I don't know why. Friendly. In a friendly way. In a friendly way. Let's, I don't know. I don't know. Let's change this. Ellas terminan la conversación amigablemente. Female. Let's move to the verb trabajar. To work. To work. Trabajar. To work. Yo trabajo en una oficina. I work in an office. Tú trabajas en una tienda. Singular, informal, close relationships. You work in a store. Usted trabaja en una tienda. Singular, formal. Ustedes trabajan en una tienda. Plural. Vosotros trabajáis en una tienda. Plural, Spain. Él trabaja como ingeniero. He works as an engineer. Ella trabaja desde casa. She works from home. Trabaja todo el día. It works the whole day. Nosotros trabajamos en equipo. We work as a team. Ellos, male, ellos trabajan para una empresa multinacional. They work for a multinational company. And ellas trabajan, female, para una empresa multinacional. Usar, to use. Yo uso una computadora para trabajar. I use a computer for work. Tú usas lentes de sol en verano. Singular, informal, close relationships. You use sunglasses in the summer. Usted usa lentes de sol en verano. Singular, formal. Ustedes usan lentes de sol en verano. Plural. Vosotros usáis lentes de sol en verano. Plural, Spain. Él usa su teléfono móvil todo el tiempo. He uses his mobile phone all the time. Ella usa un vestido bonito para la fiesta. She wears a pretty dress for the party. Usa sus garras para trepar. It uses its claws to climb. Nosotros usamos el transporte público para ir al trabajo. We use public transportation to go to work. Ellos usan herramientas para arreglar cosas. They use tools to fix things. Male. Ellas usan herramientas para arreglar cosas. Female. Let's move to the verb viajar, to travel. Viajar, travel. Yo viajo a diferentes países cada año. I travel to different countries every year. I wish. Tú viajas en avión con frecuencia. You travel by plane frequently. Singular, informal, close relationships. Close relationships. Usted viaja en avión con frecuencia. Singular, formal. Ustedes viajan en avión con frecuencia. Plural. Vosotros viajáis en avión con frecuencia. Plural, in Spain. Él viaja por Europa durante sus vacaciones. He travels around Europe during his vacations. Ella viaja con su familia en verano. She travels with her family in summer. Viaja grandes distancias durante el día. It travels long distances during the day. Nosotros viajamos en tren a la ciudad vecina. We travel by train to the neighboring city. Ellos viajan por todo el mundo como mochileros. Male. They travel around the world as backpackers. Ellas viajan por todo el mundo como mochileras. They travel around the world as backpackers. And I think this is the last one. Oh no, I still have two more. Visitar, to visit. Yo visito a mis abuelos, ending R, as you can see. Yo visito a mis abuelos los fines de semana. I visit my grandparents on weekends. Tú visitas museos y monumentos en tus vacaciones. Singular, informal, close relationships. You visit museums and monuments on your vacations. Usted visita museos y monumentos en sus vacaciones. Singular, formal. Ustedes visitan museos y monumentos en sus vacaciones. Plural. Vosotros visitáis museos y monumentos en vuestras vacaciones. Plural, Spain. Él visita a su amigo en el hospital. He visits his friend in the hospital. Ella visita a su prima en otra ciudad. She visits her cousin in another city. visita nuevos lugares cada día. It visits new places every day. Nosotros visitamos nuevos lugares cada año. We visit new places every year. Ellos visitan parques nacionales en verano. Male. They visit national parks in summer. Ellas visitan parques nacionales en verano. And I think this one, yeah, this is the last one. Vivir, to live, vivir. Yo vivo en una casa cerca del parque. I live in a house near the park. This ends in IR, ir. The third column, this one here. Yo vivo en una casa cerca del parque. I live in a house near the park. Tú vives en un apartamento en el centro de la ciudad. You live in an apartment in the city center, downtown. A singular, formal, informal, close relationships. Usted vive en un apartamento en el centro de la ciudad. Ustedes viven en un apartamento en el centro de la ciudad. Vosotros vivís en un apartamento en el centro de la ciudad. Él vive con sus padres en el campo. He lives with his parents in the countryside. Ella vive en un piso compartido con sus amigas. She lives in a shared flat with friends. Vive en la jungla. It lives in the jungle. Nosotros vivimos en un barrio tranquilo. We live in a quiet neighborhood. Ellos viven en una granja en las afueras. They live on a farm in the outskirts. O ellas viven en una granja en las afueras if it's female. So, we have finished conjugation. We have been practicing the conjugation rules with 56 of the most used regular verbs in Spanish. Remember this exercise, the whole 6 videos, it's there. There's a playlist that you can watch anytime you want, as many times as you want. And remember the verbs, all of the verbs are regular verbs, the most used, the 56 of the most used regular verbs in Spanish, ending in ar, ir. Most of them end in ar, some in very few in ir, but nonetheless, they're very used. And this is for you to practice the conjugation. Focus on practicing the conjugation. That's the idea with this. And you have a lot to practice. So, this has been very interesting. Remember that, please, if you have questions, start asking. That's the chat. That's what the chat's for. Ask questions if you have questions about what we have done tonight. So remember, tonight we finish the series of simple present, and we're going to start a series with simple future, and then we're going to go with both of the pasts that we use in Spanish, and then I think we're going to go with present perfect, maybe continuous, conditionals. I don't know. I'm going to give you as many videos as I can conjugating verbs. Remember, good job, glad to be here for learning. Okay, Steve, thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing with us this class tonight, being here with us. What does it mean when somebody says to you, tranquila? Yeah, tranquila. A good question. It doesn't have anything to do with tonight's class, but nonetheless, Flash Flood Area asks about tranquila. When we say tranquila or tranquilo, don't worry. In Spanish, we say that. Another way to say don't worry is tranquila. For her, tranquilo for him. Or tranquilos for you. If there's a lot. Hey, tranquilos, no pasa nada. Both men and women, or if it's only women, we say tranquilas. But yeah, we use that. Don't worry. Tranquilo. Don't worry. Relax. Don't worry. Tranquilo. Stay calm. Don't worry. Okay, Jim, thanks. It's good to be helpful. I love doing this. Remember, if you like the video, please, you know what to do. Share with your friends, groups, and social media. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. click the bell button. That's gonna help you to stay updated with all of the videos that I'm going to post on a weekly basis, and you're helping us to keep on growing. This has been very pleasant for me. It's a pleasant surprise the way this channel has been growing up. That's one of the reasons why I'm focusing on starting to create videos with more material for acquisition. A lot of Spanish, videos en los que yo hable mucho español, situaciones que les pueda poner subtítulos y todas estas cosas para que ustedes puedan aprender más el idioma en vivo. That's something that I do have another channel in which I teach English. That's something that I cannot do in that channel because I live in Colombia. I don't live in a country in which English is spoken, so it's difficult for me to do that kind of videos. But for you guys, I can do that, and I will. And that's going to be fun, and that's going to be great, and hopefully it's going to help you grow with your skills and get to be fluent in a quick manner. So, Flash Flood Area says, don't want you to quedar mal. Quedar mal. Flash flood area. Those are questions related to expressions and not to this, but don't worry. Nonetheless, we can do that. Quedar mal. Quedar mal is when I let's say, I disappoint somebody. That's quedar mal. You disappointed me. Me quedaste mal. Le quedo mal a alguien. Quedar mal means to not to do what we promised or what we agreed. Let's say if we agreed to meet tomorrow, if we agreed to meet tomorrow at 10 and there's a no-show from my end, that's quedar mal. Especially if I don't call you and tell you, hey, no puedo ir. If I don't do that, and I miss the appointment, te estoy quedando mal. If I owe you money and I told you that I was going to pay you that money today and I didn't, and I never called, te estoy quedando mal. Yo estoy quedando mal. That's quedar mal. Good question. I don't know if that's enough. Don't worry, because I have a lot of videos coming, videos in which I'm going to teach you how to understand people from Colombia. I already started that series of videos. We're gonna have no, you don't have to worry. I mean, you don't have to be sorry, Flash Flood. The only thing is that I was expecting more questions about regarding conjugation of the verbs, this thing and that, but don't worry. It's okay. No te voy a quedar mal. Okay. Jim, you speak about donations. I do have a membership, 3 membership levels. If you want to participate on that, or you can buy me a coffee. In the description of the video, there's a link for buy me a coffee. You can buy me a coffee if you want. That's it. And I'm about to start a Patreon page in which you can also do that if you want. Jim, if you're looking for listening and speaking skills classes, in the meantime, I have a podcast. This podcast is called Charlas con Mike. And what happens in this podcast is I have an article, let's say, about learning languages by acquisition, and I read the whole article in Spanish and I show the text on screen. The idea during this podcast is first for you to listen to me without watching the screen, then to listen and watch the screen, just focusing on matching the sounds. Do not worry about translating. Focus on matching the sounds that I say in Spanish and the words that you read on screen. And then the third step is for you to listen, to read, and to read out loud in order to mirror the sounds. Then I have a second part of the podcast in which I go sentence by sentence translating from Spanish to English. That's for you to, oh, okay, yeah, I understood that. I'm going to take note about vocabulary, this and that. I have that on my channel right now, and we have, I think it's 7 episodes on air. Let me check real quick here, just real quick, because that's available for you. If you go to the channel, you go and there's a tab that is podcasts. It's Charlas con Miguel, and it has, so far, it has 10 videos. 8 are already on air, 2 are coming soon, 1 video every week. So that would be for you to practice that. No, don't worry. Don't worry, Flash Flow. If nobody's asking anything else, of course. But if people were asking things about different things, about the subject of class, perhaps we would have to wait till the end of the class to be able to answer these kind of questions. But do not worry about asking. Should ask any question you need to ask. So I don't know, Jim, if that answers your question. If you want to donate, you can click on my buy me a coffee page. You can do that, or if you want to be part of the memberships, I have 3 membership levels. I recently started with that, so you can choose the less expensive one. I don't want to say the cheapest, the less expensive one. In the meantime, don't worry. Or in a future, I think maybe in a matter of a couple weeks, I expect to have my Patreon page working, up and running, with special contents for patrons, because I plan to work a lot on videos regarding acquisition. As I told you before, I know that we need the foundations. I'm pro foundations. We need to study grammar concepts. Grammar is not the most important thing when learning a second language, but it helps a lot. It helps a lot, and we need to practice our skills at the same time that we're exposing ourselves to the language as much as we can, in order to see, okay, it works, that helps. Any intelligent language, it's a matter of patterns. So if I understand and I can identify the patterns, and I can use those patterns, I can communicate. That happens in English. In English, I'm going to explain this real quick. In English, let's say simple present tense. The affirmative form, it's subject, verb, and some other thing. We call that in Spanish complemento. I don't know if complement would be a word in English for that, but we have basically subject, verb, object, right? But there's another information besides the object here. But basically, this is the pattern. First, I have the subject, then I put the verb, and then conjugate it in the simple present tense, and then I have object or whatever additional information I want. So I can say, I play football with my friends. You play in the park. He plays before class. She plays with dolls. It plays with a bone. And that's the structure, right? If I practice that structure a lot, repeating, learning words and everything, and I do that practice, let's say 40 minutes every day, I can use that with words and everything in order to express things. And I can connect simple sentences in order to build more complex sentences. And I can start, let's say, I can start by simple things like an introduction. My name is Miguel. I live in Colombia. I live with my wife. Simple sentences. And the same thing happens in Spanish. And that's where we're going to. I'm looking forward to to take you there, uh, the proper foundations to understand the structures, to build basic sentences, to start using those basic structures to express things like, let's say, an introduction, or describing things, or asking for directions, or stuff like that that can be used. And at the same time, I'm going to expose you to a lot of videos in which you're going to listen real Spanish from Colombia, and Spanish from Colombia can be a little complicated. That's interesting because the other day I was making a video with a friend, and we were talking, and there was a point in which I thought, I don't know how the heck I'm going to be able to translate this into English to be understood, because we are so complicated when we speak. But anyways, we can get there. And that's the idea. This channel is starting to grow, and the same thing that I did with the other channel. I've been working. I have this channel, Inglés Fácil con Mike. This channel, I have this 5 years ago, pretty much. So I've been making videos for 5 years, teaching English to Spanish speakers. We already passed 100,000 subscribers. That was good, a milestone, blah blah blah. But it was so freaking interesting, the fact that with this channel, it started growing so fast, and I've seen and I've noticed how English speakers are more dedicated to study a different language, in this case Spanish. So hopefully I'm going to be able to give you and provide you with high quality contents for learning. Looking forward to it. So okay, I don't know if you have any other questions. I don't think so. It doesn't seem so. So remember, if you like the video, you know what to do. Share with your friends, groups, social media, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Click the bell button in order to stay posted about the new updates, the new videos that I'm uploading and posting on a weekly basis. I really enjoy this process. Me encanta enseñar. A mí me gusta enseñar. Adoro enseñar las cosas que yo sé. I love teaching and sharing the things that I know, or that I think I know. And hey, Katzen, how are you? Nice seeing you here. I don't know if you missed the whole class, or if you were here the whole class. Anyways, it's good to have you here. A new subscriber of the channel. Welcome to the channel, and looking forward to teaching, sharing, and bringing a lot of stuff. Jim, bye bye. Yo también me voy a despedir. It's been a great class. Thank you for being here. See you next week, I think, with a simple future and the same 56 verbs. Keep studying, keep on working, sigan estudiando, sigan aprendiendo. Mucha disciplina, constancia, perseverancia. No se frustren, vamos a aprender juntos y nos vemos en una próxima clase. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, you know what to do. Please share with your friends, groups, and social media. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel for updates on the new videos that we're posting on a weekly basis. So keep on learning, keep on watching the videos, and see you on the next video. Bye bye.